Okay, everyone, welcome to another episode of Roaring Lions. Positive energy all the time. I hope you all doing well. And this evening, we're going to be talking to Illuminati Congo. This is going to be a very informative conversation. And I hope you enjoy it. So sit back, relax, and we'll be forward with Illuminati Congo. Yes, Ross.
Peace, brethren.
Yes, always a pleasure, my brother. Good
It
to
is,
see
man.
you.
I need to get into it with you face to face and get you to break that chalice out. I used to have you pull out the closet. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That little cold porcelain chalice you used to
yeah,
have over
yeah, brother, for sure.
there.
Hey, so how you been doing?
Man, things been cool, man. I just returned from Oregon yesterday. I had 2 shows out there, and it was really fun. And yeah, I just been enjoying my life with the fam, learning from and with the all the family here.
Yes, positive energy. So, brethren, for our audience out there, some of this stuff I know because I've been knowing you for a long time, but I'm act like I don't know you. Where were you born?
In Chicago, uh, and I lived on the north side for most of my early childhood, and then I went to school, ended up going to school on the south side and lived out there for a little while. So I'm from north side, lived on south side, up north again now.
Okay. What year was that when you were born? When were you
That
born?
was in 78 that I came to the planet. I would say that I'm born right now with every breath. I was
Right,
born today. I was born yesterday.
right.
When people say, man, you think I was born yesterday? I say, yeah, you were. And today, every day again.
Yes, I. Yeah, yeah. Give them the knowledge. Give them the knowledge, King. So, what was it like growing up as a child in the 70s when you were little?
Well, I don't even remember what the 70, because, it was the last 7 days of 78. So
Right.
all I had was 7 days of 78
Mm-hmm.
and 360 days, 365 days of 79. Then it was done.
So then you
So
know the 80s. What was the 80s like?
the 80s was cool for me. Like as soon as I could talk, I was rapping for some reason, like making up rhymes in the songs. As soon as I saw people breakdancing at the park,
Mm-hmm.
I was emulating it. And I went on the corner of State Street and like Randolph over there by Marshall Fields, and it was some dude playing drums, and I started breakdancing, and they threw me a little money. I was just, I was 5. I thought it was so dope that I was able to just get a little money doing doing some dancing real quick, uh, and then like in the 80s, that's how it was. That's what I remember a lot. Is just hip hop was sort of just taking my attention here and there, amongst other things, amongst GI Joe and Thundercats and
Right.
things of
Right.
that nature.
Right. So as a child, who were your favorite recording artists when you were growing up, before high school?
So before high school, I was in the Diggable Planets. I wrote them a it was that they first album. So this was maybe sixth grade or something that I or seventh grade that I got into them. I wrote to their fan club. I never received nothing back, but I performed one of their songs at a talent show. I was into Diggable Planets. I was into KRS. I was into Guns N' Roses, and what else? What else was I listening to? I took a lot of reggae from my dad. I took his tapes that he brought back from Jamaica, Third World, and and Bob. He had a lot of that just sitting in his cassette players. He brought this this ironwood carving back from Jamaica too when I was a shorty, and it was on the wall. It was this roster, and I used to always be like, yo, dad, why them eyes always looking at me everywhere I go? Like if I go over here in the room, them eyes is looking at me. If I go over here, the eyes is looking at me. Why the Rasta man always looking at me? He was like, man, them eyes ain't looking at you. It's just the way that it's just the optical illusion of the carving. But I think something was there too inside of that carving that was speaking to me.
Wow. That's deep. So your father was your father a Rasta man or
No,
just
no,
traveling a lot?
no. He just went to Jamaica once, and when he came home, he brought that and brought some tapes and brought a book called Dread. And so I took this was in grammar school still. I took his book, I took his tapes, I took everything.
Hmm.
I took everything, anything Rasta he had, I took it.
Wow.
Uh, but he like low key, I know he wanted me to, but
Hmm.
simultaneously you know, he didn't know that, because weed is part of the culture, and then there's whole different philosophies than Western society. So I
Right.
don't think he knew how deep the rabbit hole was gonna go, or maybe he did, and he sort of didn't want that. So it wasn't all just like, yes, embrace the Rasta culture. I
Right.
definitely got into some resistance with him, but uh simultaneously, that I wouldn't be Rasta if he didn't had that little link there that gave me my first interest in Haile Selassie and in Jamaica and in these connections.
Oh, wow. So when did you really start actually realizing you was Rasta, and when did it really bloom?
Well, sophomore year, I decided to go to a Christian school that was right down the street from the Catholic school I went to the year before, Gordon Tech. There was this Christian school called Gospel Outreach, and I was deep into the scriptures of my own of in the Bible scriptures of my own volition at the time, and uh, I was playing football before, and I was really good, but I was noticing like the racist trends of the whole industry already, and the coaches already in my school, and I was just like, man, I can't continue this route. Back then, like I would have ended up doing I would have been like Kyrie, or like what's his name, uh for the 49ers. I forgot his name already, but you know who I'm talking about.
Right.
Kaepernick. uh I would have been like Colin Kaepernick, or someone. I wouldn't have, or even like what was Ricky Williams. That was
Right.
like one of the first ones who, even though they did put him in that dress, that was when he messed up, when they put Ricky Williams. You remember, you ever seen that cover?
Yeah, they put him in that dress. Yeah.
Yeah, but besides that, he was pretty on point on some things. But yeah, I knew that I was gonna have to go a route similar to that, and so I dipped out of that. Ended up going to a Christian school. Uh, I was already seeing Rasta, like Rasta to me. Rasta was just another way of saying God. So I wore this shirt that my dad brought from Jamaica to school one day, to this fundamental Christian school, and it said Rastafari on the bottom, and it had Bob Marley on it. And they was like, "Yo, why do you have that shirt on? Do you know what that says?" And I was like, "Yeah, it says it's another name for God." And they was like, "Nah, that's a cult in Jamaica." And I was like, "Huh? I don't get it." And so it made me even look into it deeper. And then the more I was looking into it deeper, I got everything started to click for me, that this Rastafari word that's been resonating with me the whole time has been, it's a little, there's more to it than just another name of God. There's more that I need to explore in that deeper. And so that was like when I first began studying, and I started growing my locks during that time. But that, I cut those off. That was probably like, that was the locks I had lo- long time ago. I cut those off though, and these are like the third since then,
Mm-hmm.
because I had just started them by like twisting them. I didn't know what I was doing, putting all
Right.
types of beeswax and weird stuff in my hair.
Right. Right. So, what did you find out? Tell us your information on roster since we're there, and we'll get to the rest of the questions later. So, break it down, because I know you get deep and they need to hear some of this. So, break down roster from your point of view, the word, the concept, all of that.
Well, from where it is for me, originally I started with nature as just a child, when nobody knows anything except what is, not the natural. And that's what the naturality. I feel like we're all sort of born into naturality, uh, and that is the potential that we're born into. And the more we just hang out in that state of naturalness, we can we experience Rasta. So that was my first experience. Then through the lens of the Bible, I started seeing all of these connections, where it's talking about a King of Kings, a Lord of Lords, a Lion of Judah, these nations rising up to make war against him, that sat on the throne, that rides on the white horse, that smite the nations with his word. And I saw all these things happen in his majesty. Like literally, I saw all of them. I seen Ethiopia in Genesis in the Bible, and I seen it all throughout the scriptures, and something kept pointing to his majesty in Ethiopia as a crucial foundation to uh, in the spectacles through which to which all of the Bible could come alive for me because it was just stories prior to that. But
Mm-hmm.
then through seeing Ethiopia and His Majesty, I could see the living tradition of these things. And through seeing His Majesty, like if you think about the world situation as it is right now, if Christ came and was doing all types of magic wonders, striking lightning to strike down the evildoers and making everything better by waving magic wands around, how will that last in the future if God always got to come solve all the problems with some magical weird shit that nobody can do, that
Mm-hmm.
nobody in right? So when you think about how is Christ gonna come, Christ has to come in a way that can operate in a practical manner in this time, and especially in this time of international conflict and deceit, and and these attempts to take over the resources of other countries. And so we saw in His Majesty the way that Christ would or could operate in the modern world,
Mm-hmm.
in the world as it is now, and even beyond, because the wisdom of His Majesty is, it's so vast. For me, that's what I found, is that the more that I study His Majesty, the the more vast the wisdom of the way He operates, and the way we saw through historically the way He operated, uh, how there's so much to learn there, and to apply to our own times. So that the person of His Majesty began to just inspire me so much as a shorty. It brought me out of just like, that there's like a hippie thing where you just want to smoke weed and say everything's okay or whatever, or just
Mm-hmm.
go off into the woods and never do anything to serve anyone. Like His Majesty wasn't about that. He didn't go off to hermit life where he don't serve no one. He had a monastic life, but while he's serving in the world, in the secular, and in that balance is one of the most crucial ways to apply our spirit practices. And then through the lens of all these other cultures, like when I looked at Egypt
Mm-hmm.
and would see how the Necheru would sit on the throne, that's the same way His Majesty sit on the throne. The You haven't seen a king sit on the throne with the same stature and structure, uh in and like pose. It's like a yogic pose, actually, where the way you sit on the throne, you haven't seen any kings do that. The way His Majesty operated, you could almost see the Necheru and the Egyptian uh, wisdom come to life through his expression. And you could see the avatar from the Indian culture. You could see Vishnu, or Rama, which is, or there's one of the avatars of Vishnu is called Nrsimha, and he's a lion man. He's half lion and half man. And a lot of these stories, you could see a lot of the links between His Majesty. They come to life there. And for me, who has been studying all these things, I can't help but always come face to face with Rastafari, whether it's the Tao, whether it's Zen, Sufi,
Mm-hmm.
Buddha. It all comes to His Majesty.
Mm-hmm.
But it don't make me want to proselytize and tell everyone, well, you need to know His Majesty or else you don't get it, because
Right.
it's sort of like something that it has to burn in you to really care about Rastafari, and then maybe some of the things will reveal themselves to you through the gnosis. But if you don't, when you hear Haile Selassie, when you hear Rastafari, when you see some of those images and hear the stories, if it doesn't like inspire you that much, that's okay. But if it does, there might be something calling uh, to make that connection with Ethiopia.
Mm,
Like recently, I thought Ethiopia was a Greek word for so long.
mm,
I keep studying. Find out, no, it's not.
mm.
You,
Ex-
you,
Explain.
so there's kings in Ethiopia named Ethiopis, long before the Greeks ever even had that name of
Mm,
Ethiopia. So what happened was the Greeks would hear the sound Ethiopis, and then they began to use it, and then they gave the definition to Ethiopia as being the burnt faces from there, but that's not what it meant in Ethiopia. It
right,
didn't mean that.
right.
It's
That's the same thing with the word Africa. They got that from someone that was conquered by the name of Africa, and then they started calling them Africa because the guy that they said named Africa, he named himself after the man he conquered, after the African he conquered, and he
right.
started calling himself Africanus. But that's because he conquered Africanus.
And Afar is one of the most ancient regions in Africa. The Afar region. Like
Mhm.
Afra
Right,
is a root syllable in ancient African languages.
right,
So there's this whole attempt to get people off of saying Africa, it's a European Roman word. Don't say Ethiopia, it's a
mhm,
Greek word. Or you need to say this. This is the real one. It's like, nah, you just haven't exposed yourself to all of the information that you can. And if you did, you would see there might be a context for any way that a person approaches this thing. And it's not about trying to say, oh, well, I have the real way. No, there was many ways.
right, exactly. So since we're on that, His Majesty's grandson went to Jamaica and said His Majesty is not God. Did you keep up? Okay, so what was your take on that whole fiasco?
I didn't. Did that just happen recently?
Yeah, that just happened like last month. His Majesty's grandson went down there and they asked him, and
Was it
he,
Irmius,
yes,
the one who came here to Chicago?
yes,
Uh, okay. So that is his position.
right,
Uh, would would saying would them saying that, okay, His Majesty's God, like, would that make like, what would that have done
right,
for
exactly,
anyone, for anything?
right. I get you.
I don't think anything would have came from it if, okay, I do. Or maybe they could have made a concession and been like, well, I don't know, maybe he could be, may,
Right,
I would have felt better if they did that, because the scriptures already say ye are gods.
right,
They already say that. So
right,
obviously a person isn't speaking from that context. They're not
right,
speaking from where, when Christ says, even your own scriptures say you are gods.
right,
That's what I love about that verse, is that it didn't only happen in Psalms chapter 82 verse 6. It happened again when they was trying to kill Jesus, and he was like, why are you trying to kill me? Because of the good stuff that I do and help people? And it was like, nah, because you a man and you call yourself God. And then he was like, nah, even your own scriptures say ye are gods. They had to double back in the New
Right.
Testament because people they don't get it.
Right.
And so I think that as much value as the Ethiopic church, the Tiwahedo church, and the traditions that have been passed down, as much as it has,
Mm-hmm.
the the gnosis, the
Mm-hmm.
natural mystic, isn't necessarily upheld by everyone in one, and
Right.
that's okay. They're gonna
Right.
come to their own conclusions, and really, I don't even want to have a conclusion. Do I want
Right.
to be concluded that His Majesty is God? Well, I'd rather say all I know is I'm inspired. It seems like that. It seemed like that is. I have faith in the name, the
Right.
power of the Trinity. I have
Right.
faith in that. But honestly, I don't know. I
Right.
It's not for me. Like, what does that word mean to you? The word God. What does
Right.
the
Right.
what are you in relation to that word?
Right.
There's so much.
To it. Right.
Yeah.
They were kind of upset that the interviewer asked him that. That being they just wanted to know why they was asking that. Now let me ask you something else. Now, um, since you were growing up till now, what do you see as the state of reggae from back in the day and now? What's going on with that?
So I can't say I'm like hugely immersed in the scene or ever have been too much to
Hmm.
know uh like what is going on now, but it does there seems to be a great, what you would say, a roots renaissance of some sort
Mm,
happening now,
okay.
of which I honor and respect a lot of the dope stuff, like Five Star Celestial. He one of the dopest like MC DJ spitters who's coming up right now uh, in the scene, and there's a lot of people like that, like Black Hero, and man, there's so many cool new brethren and sistren that are coming up. So I can't take away from that.
Right.
Uh, but there's certainly been a move away from uh, the roots of, like, as far as a whole, it appears from where I stand, there's been a move away from the roots and culture, and really sort of upholding and honoring uh, the the origins of this. For instance, every reggae festival needs to make sure that it's hella melanated people on the stage. If you aren't, this ain't no affirmative action type of thing. This is, you need to go back to the roots of reggae culture, and for the people that it's a voice for.
Hmm.
And I think there's been a lack of speaking for and to that voice of the people. And I'm not gonna make this a racial thing because
Right.
I don't deal with race, but there are people who have been disenfranchised, and it's quite oftenly the people with melanin. That's not always the case. There's many places and peoples who have been uh, disenfranchised, and reggae music speaks to and for all of them. But we do have to make sure that we hold true to the roots in the reggae. And like, I, for instance, I love Burning Spear,
Hmm.
but the acceptance of and slight promotion of some people about the vaccine thing was that was weird for me because I didn't know that that was a part of Rasta culture.
What
What
What do you mean? He promoted the vaccine?
uh yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. So that was weird to me. But once again, I'm not here to I can't question the next man's decision.
Right.
Uh and I just know that in the reggae scene there, especially here in Chicago, when the thing first started happening, there was a lot of people in the reggae scene who started coming at me like, because I would make posts saying I'm not gonna ever do whatever they do in response to what's happening here. I'm not taking that as a solution for me ever. This was before it came out, and that people were like, "Oh, you're in the middle of the worst thing in history, and you can't say that." Like these was people in the reggae scene, like questioning me
Mm,
that I'm Ita, or that I want to keep my body a certain way.
wow.
And I had to let them know, like, if you want to be in a reggae scene, if you want to, which is an expansion of the Rasta scene, then an extension of it, you need to never tell a Rasta what and how to move in their liberty. Just
Right.
play some music, give thanks and praises, but keep your voice to the back, because that what you think about how a Rasta must speak up for naturalness,
Right.
that doesn't concern you. You don't have a place to speak on that in this conversation. If you want to speak on it amongst yourselves
Right.
outside somewhere, but don't bring that into, if you're in a reggae scene,
Right.
don't never think you could tell Rasta how they need to proceed.
Right. 100% correct. Now, let me ask you something. Growing up in the 80s, how do you compare the violence in Chicago then to the violence in Chicago today? What you see?
Well, it seemed like there was a hell of violence up until the Bulls started winning the championships.
That's real. That's
And
true.
then after that, the violence cooled out for a while, which it seemed for like it was, go de-escalating. But now I hear a lot of things that be going on now, like, and I be seeing weird stuff on videos of what's happening around. But I can't. I'm not in the streets like I was
Right.
to even know what's really
Going on.
happening and not happening.
Right.
It seems like everything seems blown out of proportion when I hear stuff on the news and when I see these things. But I see videos of why of wild shit happening. So I think there is I don't know if there's an increase right now. I would have to like look at
Mm.
statistically speaking, uh what's going on. But what do you think? Does it seem like there's more uh senseless crime in killing uh than before, like the pre-Bulls era, or does it seem like it's less
It's
at
definitely less than when I was little because in 1974 they killed almost 1,000 people. So it ain't as bad as like night. And when I went to school in high school and I went to Luther South in '72, it was real bad. So it's not that bad. They just hyping it up, but no, it's not as bad as how the Blackstone Rangers used to be back in the day.
Mhm.
It was rough. It was rough in the early '70s. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
So as far as the political situation going on in Chicago, what's going on politically here? I mean, I and I, we really don't deal with politics, but we live here. And, people, they always trying to make me a Democrat. What's up with that?
I don't know, man. That's some wild business, like the Democrat and Republican thing. And or people always trying to, anytime that I say that I'm not gonna take no shots for my health, people always say that I'm a Trump supporter.
Right,
They're like, you're what?
right,
That's what politics is now. Is any decision anything you want to do in your life, people will look at you and they'll judge you like, oh, he must be this.
right,
Oh, he must be that. Oh, he's black. He got to be a Democrat. Oh, but he's black and he don't like vaccines. He got to be a Republican. Oh,
right,
that, like, people always trying to, and it's always been WWFG. It's always been, fake wrestling show. Uh, the fact that we got reality show people who've already been president, like even before that, Ronald Reagan, what was he? Another actor. That's
right,
why people loved him, because he knew how to talk and get that, that Wild West American spirit out of people. He fired people up like that, and
right.
I think this president's, well, this is slightly, a little different on the topic. It's still politics, but presidents are selected to like give a certain essence and like a face to the current type of uh, the way that the government wants to act at the time.
Mm,
So government could get away with acting how they wanted to act for the last 4 years before Biden, because of the face of the thing. They could get away with what they getting with now because of the face of the thing.
mm,
They got away with what they got away with before because of Obama as the face of the thing. And it's always about having a certain face and like a character that is already sort of built up in people's minds that can create a like a psychological effect on people. It's a very the president seems to be selected in order that a specific psychological program can be put not just on the American people, but more specifically, it's like a matter of national security.
mm.
Why they put a certain, like, the Muslim world would have tore things up if a Hussein Obama wasn't in office right after all of that stuff started going down with Afghanistan and Iraq. That was a strategic facelift.
Mm. Interesting. Now, tell me something. When did you become a recording artist? How old were you, and when did you start taking recording serious?
The first song I recorded, I was like, uh, I think in seventh or eighth grade.
Mm,
Uh, I was at my friend Brendan Dooley's house. He had turntables and some equipment, and we recorded something over there. But I actually was recording at home too. You know how you used to take the tape,
mm-hmm,
record a loop, and then try to extend that loop. You ever
mm-hmm.
did that by
Yeah,
recording tape to tape and try to make a beat? So that
right.
was like the first stuff I did was trying to make loops on beats just by and then
Yeah,
rap over that beat on and record that. And so
right.
I was trying in elementary school, but just with the limited equipment I had. My friend, Brendan, He had the equipment. We was able to record something. I started playing when I got to freshman year. I started playing it for people. They was like, "Yo, that's dope. That's dope. Yeah, he got stuff. Listen." And then they would pass around the tape and listen to it and stuff. And then uh, during that same year, I linked up with uh, one of my first crews, FSK. We started recording together, Freestyle Kids. Then I linked up with Nacrobats, which is like this huge
With
crew.
Pugs Adams.
Yeah, we linked up and recorded like that was junior year. I recorded with Pugs Adams in at Columbia College. I used to be the beatboxer on the corner. We'd be 50, 70 deep on Michigan Avenue. I would have to beatbox so loud because the circle was huge.
Right.
And yeah, that's people knew from that day, from those days. Like my name is John the Baptist from those days, because I've been talking about the same stuff that I've been saying right now ever since then. It ain't
Right.
it ain't never changed.
Interesting. Interesting. You still in contact with Pugs?
Yeah. We haven't kicked it in a while. Seen we was last in person a couple years ago. But yeah, we connected online, and I need to go get some of his new gear that he done dropped, because he that's one thing I love that he's doing too, in addition to his music, is dope ass fashion lines.
Yeah. He does. I seen him release some stuff, I think, today. So, what do you see the major differences is in the music industry when you first start recording and now?
Uh Yo, it's just now there's you can anyone can succeed in music so easily and fast and on their own terms, and it's sort of even outside of the industry. Like, you might not even think of it as industry anymore, because it's just your independent lane,
Yeah, it
uh,
is.
where a creator might not even want to associate with music industry, because they have so many other things that they're offering in addition, that they just are creating a new avenues of self-expression. But the music industry, as far as the corporate one, they have to adapt really quickly,
Mm,
because there's new technology in place that's going to allow creators to
mm,
get paid for transparently for each second that a person listens to their music, immediately, that moment.
mm,
Not what we have now, where there's they say that the person listened, you can't never see the records of how long they listen, and they pay you months down the road for these streams. Like, that's with all the technology we have now, why are things so outdated when it comes to taking care of artists, taking care of music artists? That's so I'm on platforms that have this going, but there's just not enough people at those markets. Like, I'll tell you one thing: you could pay for advertising to try and get people to listen to your music. That's cool, but what if you could pay, and your audience gets paid from you to listen? Because in all you're doing is trying to pay, you're trying to get attention on your music, right? Because there's so
mhm,
much stuff out there, so people pay for advertisement. But what
mhm,
if you could just cut that advertisement out and say, yo, I want to go straight to my audience, and I'm gonna break you off a little change just for checking out some new music on my site? You know what I'm
mm,
saying? That's some the new way
mm,
that music is transitioning to. The the site I'm on that does that is called Tune FM, and it's really it's cutting edge, but it's these things are in beta. They're still just being formed, they're being figured out, and as soon as big acts that people want to emulate jump on,
Mm.
next thing you know, it's the new wave. Next thing you know, it's being covered everywhere because the technology and the profit is solid.
Sounds interesting, yeah, because I could make so much money off my song and then pay, pay them off of the money I'm making and keep the extra. That's dope. And get a lot of people to listen like that, which means I'm making more money and paying more people and then more money. That's man, that's deep. That's deep.
It is. And you reward your listener. You get a chance to reward the people that fuck with you instead of
Yeah.
rewarding the companies that you don't even F with.
Yeah, that's deep. That's interesting. So that's a way that we could probably try to bring back lyrical hip hop and make it more popular again. What do you see going on with that? Because the kids like the wild stuff, it appears. Or is that false?
Hmm.
Are there young people listening to lyrical music that's not getting no advertising? How's that working?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's hella little shorties who love like my kids been listening to my music for the longest. And I do it's all about lyrical content first. It's not about that trap beat first. Even
Right.
though I love a good trap beat, but it's not about that first. It's always about I gotta say something because that's what I came into the game with. This I'm a
Right.
poet. I'm an expressive type of person. I'm
Right.
someone who has wordplay, like words. So sound definitely is so pure that sound without words is so much pure potential for the imagination, and I love that. But words are are like spells. They are spells, magic spells, and magic spells can bring about great things in your
Mm.
life, and they
Mm.
can also bring about detrimental things. And a lot of the words that people are listening to are not really spelled and and put with a intention deliberate to bring about great things in people's lives.
Right.
They're not maybe they're not consciously written to harm people's lives, but they're definitely not deliberately written to help people. And if if words are always magic regardless of a person's intention, people may be inadvertently getting caught up in some detrimental forms of magic by these lyrics that don't support life, doesn't support peace. Now I watch movies where people getting shot up, cut up, all types of stuff. I like to be entertained by some of those movies, not because I like to see those things, but I start thinking about other stuff. I have contemplations that serve me when enjoying uh what might be deemed as violent movies or things that are uh, not the best content to create a peaceful state of mind.
Mm.
But that I'm if that's all that I did, if that was the only type of stuff that I watched all the time, it would definitely impact me in a certain way.
Right.
And that's where it is now with music. There's only a certain type of thing that gets pushed to the forefront of. So if you're just letting yourself hear whatever's at the forefront,
Uh-huh.
you're going to get a certain program if you're not actively seeking out what you want to hear. But if you are, some people only actively seek out what they want to hear because they got the program from another person who was tapped into that mainstream thing. So basically, what I'm saying is someone might not have even cared about a Cardi B, but because someone else in the mainstream, because someone else is connected to that mainstream and is bigging her up, and then other people go check for her and select to go listen to her and choose that because she's already gotten pushed masses of consciousness.
Okay.
Where there might be thousands of other people who say just as entertaining things,
Right.
but they're not gonna. No one's gonna check for them because they haven't been primed and conditioned into enough of the masses consciousness. And so that's how they get people to select music that they might not even want to be listening to, is because that if you could get enough of the people who are tapped into the mainstream radio listening and doing it, it becomes a trend that even people outside of that get
Mm.
wrapped into the trend because they're connected to people.
Right. Interesting. Interesting. That's for sure. Now, let's change lanes here. Now, if you, with the people watching, what kind of advice would you give them concerning relationships? Men and women. Give us some relationship advice. Let me take you somewhere you don't usually go.
Go. Let me just go to this fight one moment. One moment.
Okay. Do you think?
So in relationships, I I can never say I'm an expert, but relationships are what life is for. It's for relationship. That's what the one, well, the none became one. But if for the one to just have itself, that what is there? What is there to relate with? Nothing. So the one has to become two. And then through those two relating, so many things form just through the relationship of two things, because you have two vantage points. So you have this vantage point. At first you only had one vantage point that saw from here, but now you have two, so you see all of this, but you have a reflection where you could see another over here, and you could sort of see yourself. And when you have that reflection over there and sort of see yourself, you might not be seeing your exact self, but you're seeing a contrast, and that allows you to face yourself. Now, it, uh, it allows us to face often unconscious things of ourselves, the things that are hidden about ourselves. That's why we created another, so that we could have another to relate with. And those hidden things, that's called the darkness or the occult. Uh, Occult is the hidden, and those things are in the subconscious. They come up to help us, to help us realize our oneness with the next one, yet our difference. Uh, and so relationships are one of the main purposes of creation itself. There would be no reason for creation without relationship. There would be no relationship without creation.
Right.
But they bring out in us anything that's unlike love. If it's the more like a fire will melt away anything that's not the fire, and eventually all that's left will be the fire.
Mm.
That's what the relationships, uh, what I've learned is that anything unlike love, peace, understanding, compassion,
Hmm.
those things will be brought up to the surface, uh, through the fire of love in a relationship.
Mm.
That's why people, they experience such deep love for a person, but then there's all these weird things that they like, yo, but then there's this and then there's that, and we got to work through this, and it's like the reason that you even know about these things that you have to work through is because love is bringing it all to the surface.
Mm, interesting. That's deep right there. You are an expert.
No, no.
So, all right. So, okay. Now, eating. What do you eat? What is your eating plan? How what do you consume mostly when you're eating?
I usually start my day with a smoothie. Uh, the I'll use so I'm not gonna say I'm vegan because I still use raw milk products,
Mm-hmm.
milk products that haven't been pasteurized.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but usually, and that's not at all every day. That's not all the time. It's at different cycles. But
Right.
uh, I'll start my day with a smoothie and just put as much superfoods that I know can go well together with each other in there, so that I could get all that up in me. Uh, and I attempt to eat food that's the least processed, but to say that that's all that I eat would be untrue.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I like the act of eating and of this the social aspect of eating, and I think there's strength for us in eating that is even beyond the bread itself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't like to eat seed oils in my food. Like there's certain oils like canola oil. I make sure not to. A lot of oils that I like to make sure that I'm not eating in my food because they have effects that I've found in my life and research to not value. So, but that's pretty much the only regular thing that I do with food is that smoothie every day.
Mm.
So
Interesting.
yeah, everything else is just some days I might not eat anything. Like I do fasting where I'll just I won't eat a cooked meal usually until later in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like today I haven't had a meal yet, just a smoothie, and I don't even be thinking about it that much.
Interesting.
It's more so like the food. If I didn't have my kids and things here, I would hardly be. I would eat like once every 3 days or something.
Right. Right.
just it's just being in sort of in a routine with others too.
Right. 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 That makes sense. Okay. Now, before we go, if you had the whole world listening to you right now, give us some advice.
Uh, well, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's like I often say I don't like to add vice, you know what I'm saying? Because there's already enough vice in a in a place. So I just say our own intuition is so capable. We have a personal, every single person who's listening has a personal connection to infinite intelligence, like supreme infinite intelligence. There's if you can hear my voice, if you can't hear it, but you could just read the captions. If you are somehow aware of what I'm saying right now, you have a personal connection to infinite intelligence, and you can tap that wellspring for inspiration, for energy, for resources, abundance, and uh, it's a lot of it is in. in what we call or see as the mind, the way we think about things, but a lot of it is in how we feel about things. It's contained in the heart, and
Mm,
uh, so knowing how to really get a good feeling, get a feeling for what it is that you're looking to connect, looking to manifest, cultivate the feeling, rest in that feeling,
mm,
do what it takes to have that feeling if before it even manifests what you're looking for. Like take baths, sit with the fire, do practical stuff, walk around the block, breathe as big and gentle as you can, and these just use the elements. The elements themselves have more wisdom than any words that I could have said that I've said in
mm,
this
mm,
room. And if you take time with those, oh, they got our back. There's people that have healed themselves and or had assistance of nature to heal of all the worst things that you could think of, just
mm,
sitting with fire, taking baths, breathing, and eating good,
mm.
and grounding, getting outside, getting your feet in the grass. Like these, we have a personal connection to this infinite intelligence, and we have a practical way to approach it through all the elements, the most natural elements of creation. So if you're ever feeling like, yo, I don't know how to connect to God, connect with fire then. Connect with a shower, connect with a bathtub, connect with a fast for 3 days. Connect with something like that and see if God don't connect with you.
Interesting. So listen, brethren, I really appreciate you. That was heavy. That was a lot of knowledge right there. Man, you got my head spinning. That was on point. You know what I'm saying? I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you, bro. I'm glad you came through. Everybody check out Illuminati Congo. Go check out his music. Go support him. Go follow him on all social media. And brethren, as usual, salute. All right.
Thank you, Virgin. I gotta get you on my podcast soon.
Yeah, just hit me up. We'll do it. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
after the Thanksgiving. When's your Earth Day, Virgin?
February 22nd, I'll be 65. I'll be a senior citizen. I can't wait.
Oh man, that's tripped out. You getting younger. You
Yeah,
getting younger by the day.
yeah, I'm gonna have to come kick it with you, man. I haven't been out much, man, since the COVID. It threw my whole movement off. Like I haven't
Yeah,
been moving right. I was supposed to been come see you. Yo, shorty big. I was supposed to see him when he was little.
yeah. But we still been connected. Yeah, it's been a tripped out uh scenario. I could definitely feel like this year specifically. Like last year, we were out even more because we were like, nope, we not getting locked down.
Right.
But this year, but this year when the lockdowns uh wasn't like that, I didn't have nothing to rebel against, so I wasn't out. I
Right.
wasn't out as much.
Right. Right. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, but I gotta come check you, man. We definitely gotta sit down and hook some things up. And whenever you want to do the show, let me know. All right.
Yeah. Let's try to do that real soon, like in the next 7 to 10 days. We'll get on my joint and do it, man.
All
Because
right,
I
Roots.
gotta bring you my audience, man. You've been foundational for my life too. Like when you brought up the roster, when we were bringing up the roster history, I didn't get full detail in depth because if I would have, you would have been an instrumental mention in in that growth. So thank you, bro.
I used to see you and Pugs running around Selassie Day. Y'all was real short. Y'all was shorties with the dreadlocks. Both you and Pugs running around out there at Washington Park. I watched
Yeah,
y'all grow up from kids. Y'all was little at first.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. That was the Selassie Fest was definitely foundational for many brethren here. Like if it wasn't for so many little things that linked up. Um, so we give thanks for Chucky and Jocelyn
Hmm.
and all of the brethren for, who've helped through these years. It's been a full community that's allowed for there to be something here, and it's not like it was. But I was just thinking that there's there's something special about it still, because now there's no Cointel who can the Cointel Pro attack now, like where
Right.
where it's so decentralized now, they don't know what to do. So if we find a way to just connect the dots while we're sort of, you know, spread out like this a little more, we might have more effectiveness if we actually have a game plan. So it's just some thoughts that's been on my mind.
Well, I'm hoping in 2024, I want to try to throw the Haile Selassie Fest myself. I want to bring it back to Washington Park, and I want to bring back the Windy City Weed Fest down at Lincoln Park. So I'll
Hey,
talk to you. You can help me work on that because I think those need to come back.
you got my support for both of them.
I think the Haile Selassie Fest need to be back down there in Washington Park for sure for the community. I talked to Zadi Wadada, and we was going back and forth, but I told him that needs to be back on the south side in the community where the people could get a different perspective. Regular brothers and sisters used to come out there and get a regular perspective. We never had any violence out there. It was a chance for them to see something different. You
Yeah,
know, that was
yeah,
the. I'm gonna tell you, brethren, that was the best festival in the whole United States. And I've been to all kind of festivals. It was free and at Washington Park. I used to leave California to come all the way back to Chicago just to attend that. I don't think people know how big that was. That was huge.
right. Yeah, I was just telling the next brethren about it a couple days ago in Oregon. You know what I'm saying? Telling him about you and the whole festival, because those were instrumental things, and not so many people realize the significance. Not there's definitely hasn't been enough said about it. I think a documentary, we catch all the footage of Chucky's old thing over this and try to put that out. Maybe if we just put a call out, be like, yo, who got footage of
Yeah.
any of these things, and we do a short little like 30-minute documentary as the lead up promotion to bringing it back. So we honor Chucky, and we also show people why it was special and bring that beauty again. I'm with it though.
Yeah. I want to get that going, man. So I'll start working on it next year so I'll be ready for 2024.
All
Yeah.
right, Virgin.
All right. One.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so that was good. That was my brethren, Illuminati Congo. It was good to have him over here. We're going to have Wheel of the Most High here on the 24th for Roaring Lions. That was a lot of information. I hope you all enjoyed it. Straight up. He's got a lot of information to share. We could have went for hours. Yeah, we could have went for hours and hours, but it's always good to see him. I'll get him back when I get a chance. Let me see if anybody asked any questions. What's going on? Iran, what's going on? Okay. Yeah, positive energy all the time. Good to see you, Harry. Jamal, what's going on? Me and John Bunny was supposed to go today. He didn't contact me, so I don't know what happened. I didn't really call him back because I know his daughter was graduating this week, and he probably was running all over the place. So it's probably going to happen Thursday. I think he said he'll be free Thursday. So I'll hit him up tomorrow and find out when he's going to be free. But it is going to happen soon. Maybe Thursday. It might not. I don't know what if he's doing anything for a holiday or anything like that. We might not do it till next week, based on the fact we got Thanksgiving and all that going on. So you know what I mean. But surely I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him over here. I think he's doing a lot because he told me Tuesday, but I never did hear back from him. So I know he said he was going to be busy. He was going to try to find a day to do it. But we're gonna surely make it happen. I got a lot of other great interviews coming up over here. It's gonna be something else. Uh, it's good to hear all these various people say what they're going to say, and also to teach young people how to listen and don't always try to interject your point of view. The business topic convo is probably going to happen tomorrow for sure. Um, Maybe this evening, Quaylen, when I go live again at about 7 or 8 Central Standard Time. That might be the conversation. You know what I mean? Straight up. But yeah, we doing that thing over here, Roaring Lions. You know what I'm saying? And so you all have a good evening. I'll see you in a couple of hours. All right, one.